Hello, Ryan here, aka Mac, and welcome. Today we are going to be taking a look at all the features and deliverables starting work in September. As always, a huge thank you to my patrons and channel members. Thank you guys so much for the support. It is truly appreciated. And if you do enjoy my videos, please consider subscribing and helping the channel to grow. So each month, I like to put together a video that takes a look at all of the work that is kicking off each month and also finishing each month, just to keep us all more informed as to the work that is going on in the background. But before we get to it, just because a feature on the progress tracker has work beginning or is completing in a particular month doesn't necessarily mean that it will be released that quarter, the next quarter, or even in that year, as there could still be more work required from other teams like the downstream teams, which are like audio, visual effects and so on, or even priorities can shift and it can get pushed back until it's needed later on. It is, however, a good guide to see what could potentially come to the PU when, but at the very least, it shows what work is being done at what time in the year. Now, I am still putting together a video that will take a look at the work ending in September, and there is a heck of a lot of exciting deliverables coming to a close this month, so do keep your eyes out for that. But with that said, let us take a look at all of the deliverables and features that have work starting this month in September. So let's kick off with a pretty interesting one. It is called Dynamic Population, which reads all the milestones that need to be passed in order to implement dynamic populations in various locations around the verse. Now, as you can imagine, this will be required for all locations that you would expect to see NPCs moving around, doing their day-to-day activities, depending on where they are and what they're supposed to be doing. Seeing populations of people moving around cities, landing zones and all other locations, so quite an important system to make the verse feel alive and populated. And with 36 weeks work, which just kicked off now, it won't be done until the end of May next year, so quite a while to wait for this, but I am very happy that it's getting started. Next up, we have Weapon Handling Tier 2. Now, this feature is actually slated for release in Alpha 3.16, so the end of year patch, and this will hook up player animations while interacting with and customizing FPS weapons. So when you attach or detach a silencer, maybe switching fire modes for example, your character will physically reach out and do this. Now the aim here, they say, is to add a tactile look and feel to weapon handling, supporting the wider goal of high fidelity character interactions with all relevant objects in the game. So all about that immersion. This feature has 7 weeks work, which begun early to mid-September and will be finishing towards the end of October. So not a great amount of work to go there, and I'm very happy that they are going to the effort to do this. Having our characters' hands reach out and swap the various weapon attachments will add so much visually and feel pretty cool as well. Now, the next feature we have is called Ground Scramble Race. This has 12 weeks work beginning at the end of September and finishing around mid-December. Now, this will add Scramble Races to Hurston and its moons, along with general improvements and bug fixes. Now, we had ground races in the past where you had to meet at the start line in an appropriate vehicle before the time ended, and you just had to follow checkpoints. But they were removed for some reason, and then Grim Hex got its race room, but the racing feature never made it in. Now, as much as I'm not too fussed about racing in the verse short term, and we do have events like the Daymar Rally, for example, and others who create some really cool races themselves, long term, I would love to have an SM Borg racing team where we fly our drivers and engineers and so forth from race to race as they compete. But early days, when racing does make it in, I'm sure I will give it a go, and if it's something I enjoy, I will pursue, but it will at least give us something else to do, which I'm sure will be fun. Again, speaking long term, it will be a full career mode all on its own, and competing in small races and then eventually making your way to the official Murray Cup race will be a great zero to hero experience, as long as you have the skills, of course. So I suppose they're starting with these scramble ground races around Hurston and its moons, and then maybe we will see these space races at the Grimhex asteroid track, and from there the racing mechanic can just keep expanding to all the other vehicles, tracks and locations. The next feature we have is called Reputation Gates for Missions, which has 12 weeks work kicking off now and finishing mid-December. Now, this is doing a more in-depth pass on gating access to missions, based on the player's reputation, of course, with the various corporations and mission givers. Now, I believe in the next patch, Alpha 3.15, the reputation system is being expanded to other organizations in the game, and from what I've seen, it could include hauling companies, although at this time, we have no official information on this. But the expansion of the reputation system is going to be very important, and I am happy to see that they are gating missions, so we will feel that progression through the potential missions to unlock better, more well-paid missions. Of course, this will be different for the various potential mission givers out there, from bounty hunting to cargo hauling, mining, piracy, and so on, but having these gates for the various orgs will give us more of a sense of achievement in whatever career path we choose, and hopefully we can see other rewards beyond just payments, like items, unique items, or uniforms, for example. Anyway, the reputation system is always expanding, and as mentioned before, do expect to see more inverse organizations set up to utilize the Mobiglast Delphi reputation app in Alpha 3.15. So this next feature is probably my favorite. It is the Player Interaction Experience Tier 2 Visor, Hood and Helmet. Now this feature is one that I am very much looking forward to, and is one of 3 interaction experience tiers, 0, 1 and 2 of course. But what I love about this one in particular is that it involves building on the existing heads-up display with a new look and feel, including a new helmet equip and remove experience, boot up and power down sequence, and transitions between FPS and ship hoods. Now, what this means is that helmets will begin to get their own more unique HUD for the various uses, and likely manufacturer specific as well, just like for the ships, but I'm not 100% certain on that. But what will be very cool about this is the boot up and power down sequence as you take them on and off, which on its own will be pretty epic to experience. Now, what I really love about this particular deliverable is simply how it will allow us to physically remove, inspect, hold and place our helmets. That will add so much immersion to the game and help us to become more attached to our helmets. Maybe you have a favorite helmet already that you just always love to wear. With this deliverable, you will be able to see it up close and personal, inspect it right in front of you in all of its glory, and eventually see all the damage and the wear and tear that it's taken. It will also be pretty epic that when we sit in our ship cockpit, the helmet HUD will connect to the ship, allowing us to have specific HUD elements on our helmet visor, if we so choose to. Hopefully, it will also be the start of various helmets for various mechanics like combat specific, mining specific, and so on, each with their own HUD and strengths and weaknesses. Now, the only downside to this deliverable is that it has 29 weeks work, which kicked off earlier this month and won't be done until the end of March next year, which really isn't that far off anyway, but it will be worth the wait nonetheless. So the last 2 are more technical deliverables, which I will kind of briefly go over as I don't know exactly what they involve or what they will do. The first one is from the Planet Tech team, which is called Move Planet to Compute. And this says, planetary terrain chunks have an important screen rendering fill rate. Distant terrain shading attributes are computed on a per pixel basis, which is not necessary most of the time. By using a compute shader, we can simplify and reduce the pixel shader cost to boost the overall terrain rendering performance. Now, I don't really understand what this means, but any performance improvements can only be a good thing, especially when it comes to planets. Will we see much in way of performance increase on the client side? I don't know, but it certainly can't hurt. This has 13 weeks work, which just kicked off and comes to a close mid to late December. And so the final deliverable is called Services Distributed Load Testing System. Now this says it is the development of a distributed load testing tool that can simulate service loads and replicate user behavior. So a pretty important tool for testing loads that should help CIG to find potential issues and bottlenecks and so on before players even get involved. Meaning when we do finally get our hands on the patch or the feature, it should be a lot more stable with less various crashes and problems. Now this has 27 weeks work that began at the end of September and will come to a close around the end of March next year. So that is it for the work starting in September. Not a great amount to be fair, especially compared to all of the work finishing in September. Now for me, the player interaction experience tier 2, dynamic populations and weapon handling are what I am most looking forwards to, making things a lot more tactile and hands-on. My next video will be focusing on all of the deliverables and features ending in September, which include things like life support, the fire hazard system, creature rigging, space whales, the map and radar rework, plus so many more. It is a monstrous month for features ending. and I will get that out as soon as possible. Hopefully I can get it out tomorrow because it is the last day of September, but I am a little behind schedule. So be sure to check that out when it does release. But with that said, if you do enjoy my videos, please consider subscribing and helping the channel to grow. And if you would like to talk more about Star Citizen or just hang out with myself and my amazing community while we count down the days to 315 and CitizenCon, you are all more than welcome. It is twitch.tv/supermacbrothers Ryan. Hit the thumbs up if you don't mind. It does the channel a big favor. And if you want to be notified when my videos go live, just tick that little notification bell. Again, massive thank you to my patrons and channel members for your support. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.